So moving on, now we're going to be doing this over fillet surface at the top, or more of a transitional surface. And we're going to use the same method. If we use a simple loft, here we go, let's type it in. Loft, if we make a loft from here to there, press enter, using the normal, and it should be fine. Again, I would go in and say match surface, and using the match surface, I would recommend that you align one surface to the other. And again, it's aligning this one, but we'll use tangency this time. And that's it. I do want to check the number of CBs, so let's show the point, making it tangent. So yeah, here you go. Now you have a nice continuity between this surface, this one, and the bottom one. So all we have to do now is select these two, mirror, using one of these straight lines, and we get some super nice, really clean surfaces. And if you want to double check how clean they look, you can join them, and then go under the Analyze tool, and use one of the existing surface tools. As you can see, the lines look very smooth. So that's good enough for now. We'll keep them the way they are, and now I'm going to move forwards with showing you how to do these surfaces. So, originally we had surfaces which they have this surface here that wraps around, and then this surface here that kind of wraps around. So they're both kind of aligning to each other's orientation. And this one bows out, and this one also bows out right at the edge. So we have to keep that in mind, like that's the original design intent, and we don't want to modify it too much. So the first thing I'm going to do again is use the loft. If I use the loft from two curves, it creates a nice surface to begin with. So I'll just go in and streamline the process and do that for each of the curves. So you can clearly see this is not the type of surfaces we want. Oh, yeah, we have a small problem here. So to resolve this one, what we can do is mirror that from, let's pick one of these lines from here, and then we can delete this, replace it with a straight line, okay? And now if we do a loft from this line to the bottom edge, we'll get something nice and clean. Seems like this line did not go where I wanted it to go, so I'm gonna go back and sketch it again. Okay, so now we have a better line. We'll redo a loft. We get this flat surface. And like I was saying before, this is not really the surface you want, but it's the layout of the surfaces that you want. So now we can go in and show the point, and if we wanted to, we could do something like a freeform technique, a freeform process where we can select some of these points and move them. Yeah, let's just do that for this one. I think it's going to be more intuitive to do it with the freeform technique. So I'm going to show you a few additional features. One of them is called SEL to select, and then you can select a curve or a surface, but there's also SEL V or SEL U. So it's the letter U and the letter V. So if you select the U, it selects one of the orientation of that surface. And if you go back and select the V orientation, so select one of your points, cell V, it's going to select everything on the V orientation of your surface. So if you do that for each of these surfaces, and you can do it all at once by selecting multiple points, cell V. So now we're going to select all of the V points. We can scale them. Actually, scaling is not going to work that well in this case. I was thinking we can scale them from one of these points, like somewhere in the center of the object by by whatever dimensions we want, and I'm holding shift so it goes straight out. So we've got pretty much the same result, except now it's going outwards, so it's giving us some really nice curvature. So the video got cut off as I was recording, and I did not know, so I kept going and kept on building the entire thing. And anyway, it's completely fine because the video was too long to begin with, so I'm just going to go over how I got to this final result. And it's really straightforward. As you know, I started with some of the surfaces and I had a bunch of curves. So many of these surfaces were created using the sweep to command. And using the sweep to command, you can use one rail, two rails, and then for the section curves, you can use one of these surfaces and one of the other surfaces. And this usually gives you the option for tangency on one side, okay? Now, if you're having a tough time making this surface tangent to this one, all you have to do is use the match command using match surface, and you can match this surface to this one. One thing you have to be careful about is the average surface. Make sure you do not use the average surface. To check which surface is being pulled, you can click on the curvature, and here you can see clearly it's this surface that's being adjusted to that one, and that's what we want. So it's making this surface tangent to that one. So I did that a few times, and then I checked the curvature and I found out that this surface here was not tangent to this one and that one. So I went back, and using the same feature, match surface, I was able to match this surface to that one. So I had to do that for this one, and this gave me some really good results. And I can show you the difference. I did this on purpose. I made sure to match this surface to these two, and I did not do it for the top. So what this does is lets us kind of compare the different results. So I'm just going to join everything, and then once everything is joined, you can go under the Analyze tool, Surfaces, and you can use the zebra or the environment map. I like to use the zebra because it's usually very obvious where things go wrong. Like here you can clearly see there's a line, it stops, there's a different line, they don't match. So this is not tangent to this line. On the top side, you do see that they match. This line and that line match, and as you rotate around, you can see they always match as they move around. And now if you go down here, you can see the same thing is happening here. These lines are matching with these lines, which means they are tangent. So you can clearly see that you can build these surfaces using a sweep, but you might have to go back later, and typing in the match surface command, you may have to match, okay, let's try that again, match surface, match one of these surfaces to the other one. And this will usually give you pretty good results. Sometimes you're going to lose the edge here, and you might have to rebuild another surface that's dependent on that surface, because when you match it, what it actually does is it moves some of the points. So if I matched it to be curvature, the edge would not match anymore. So I would have to rebuild this surface. So just be aware of that. You might lose the position between these two surfaces, the relationship of position or tangency. So yeah, just be aware of it. So I think this should give you a really good sense of how to build that type of surface. So I'm going to stop at this point. I'm just going to mirror this to the other side just to show you the final result. Yeah, so let's join everything. I'll use the CAP just to close it off. And now we have a solid object. Again, if we want to double check that, we can just go under the Analyze, Edge Tools, Show the Edges. And under Naked Edges, we can see that there is no naked edges, which means this is a solid object. It's completely closed. So yeah, here you go. Now you have a much better idea on how to build these more complicated objects.